What is going on, guys? This is Ryan, and welcome to the Loth-Wolf Podcast. I'm joined once again by the full Loth-Wolf Pack. We're rising and grinding again, fellas. We got Jim, Chris, and Bob. How are we feeling this morning?
Doing great.
Doing good.
Hey, Ryan, how are you, sir? We're doing good.
I'm doing all right, man. Just a little sleepy. Coffee's flowing right now, but we made it, right?
I think we all got it, yeah. Except for Bob. He's kind of on the opposite end of that.
Hey, I'm still here.
That's true.
I'm here for this.
Jim, how's your omelet?
It was delicious. With coffee, got a little French vanilla flavoring. I'm gravy.
He's juiced up, boys.
Juice.
That's the discussion today. We're just going to talk about breakfast and like nice morning beverages and stuff like that. We figured we'd give a break from the destiny.
Yeah, if Jim is surprisingly away from the computer for about 10 minutes, I think you know where he's at after that omelet and coffee.
Yeah, just making another omelet.
Yeah.
Or, well, it's not where my head was going, but
he's in the other office for a little meeting.
All right, so the last couple of casts we've kind of been talking a lot about the meta. We talked about Gen Con last week. The first week we talked about the resurgence of Blue Hero and how we think it can be competitive. So we figured this week we're going to kind of take like a U-turn and kind of go back to what we kind of like about this game, with like talking about new characters, talking about stuff that really isn't really talked about in the current game state, but we think could be really good. So today we're going to kind of take a deep dive into cards from the Convergence block that either have not seen a ton of play competitively or at our local, and that we think could either be potentially really good or cards that we kind of want to start building a deck around. So if any of you guys are listening, if you've used any of these cards before, if you've created a deck with it, please comment, let us know. We're really interested to see kind of different builds with these characters or cards. So yeah, just comment on this video or contact us however you want to do that, and let us know what you think. We're going to jump right now into characters from the Convergence block that we think are better than they're being given credit for right now. So Bob, why don't you start us off with your character?
Yeah, so my character that I'm choosing for this discussion is the Mud Trooper, aka Mudbutt. He's an 8 health character, costs 8 points, and his dice is basically a trooper dice. However, he's got 1+ health, and he's got a pretty sweet ability. So his ability reads, after you activate this character or a leader, you may reroll one of your dice showing a blank. So I put the Mud Trooper in a deck with Elite Iden as well as a First Order Stormtrooper. And the idea behind that deck, it's a trooper deck. You have leaders, you have the Imperial Officer who is a leader, Iden is a leader. So you have multiple opportunities to reroll blank dice. So ideally you synchronize everything. So you roll in the First Order Stormtrooper, then you can either roll in the Mud Trooper and re-roll a blank. If either of them has a blank, then you can roll an Iden and kind of easily correct all of your dice. So I think he's a very underrated character at this time. Like I said, his dice is the exact same as a First Order Stormtrooper, but his ability comes with an added plus.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I got to give a shout out to one of our guys from our local, George. George is always brewing something up. He's always playing something off the cuff, but he was playing double Mud Trooper and another red character. I forget who it was off the top of my head.
I think it was Phasma.
Yeah, starter box Phasma with 2 Mud Troopers. So he was getting rerolls like all over the place because it was like stacking. Like with Phasma activated, he gets to do 2 Mud Trooper triggers. So it was pretty sweet.
Yeah, one of the things that Mud Trooper brings to Red Villain is consistency. And it's something that, like, if you're playing all those troopers and stuff, it's something that they really haven't had unless you're running like a 2-focus character like Phasma or Iden. Mm-hmm. But if you're playing a deck like George was playing, George, by the way, attends the Jim Welsh School of Crockpot Cooks.
Indeed. The masterclass of Jim Welsh. Crockpot.
Yeah, he loves brewing stuff up. But yeah, the Mud Trooper definitely brings a kind of an added consistency to decks. You're paying for it with his point cost as opposed to just paying for a regular First Order Stormtrooper, but the rerolls are awesome.
Yeah, I would agree. A couple weeks ago, I tried it was Snoke, Mandalorian Super Commando, and a Mud Trooper. So with Snoke being a leader, you kind of get another roll off him. And just from playing a couple games with that deck, he's definitely fun to play. I'm sure, Bob, you can agree with that. Just, you're not worried about your blanks. It's like, oh, whatever. I'll just re-roll it later and see what I get.
Yeah, I'm not disappointed if I see the First Order Stormtrooper blank out. I mean, if you get like Mega Blaster Troopers out there too, and you activate either the Mud Trooper or like Iden or Phasma, whoever you're running it with, I mean, that's the ideal scenario that you can do max damage and then and right into a pulverize.
Right into a pulverize from
The
Bob.
classic pulverize.
Yeah.
The classic
And he's
pulverize.
also
Didn't even
playing
see it
I
coming.
Perform Violence in his mono red villain.
Yeah,
deck,
they'll
too.
never see it. Damage from hand, baby.
That's right.
You gotta
That's
love
right.
it.
All right, Chris, why don't you what character have you been kind of interested in?
All right, so I was going through Spark of Hope and Convergence, and I looked at Sly Moore. So Sly Moore is a blue villain character, 9 points, 12 points for elite, 9 health. She is a character advisor. And she says, after you activate this character, you may re-roll one of your Sith dice. So she herself is not a Sith, but if you have a Sith, you can re-roll one of their dice, kind of like the Mud Trooper Bob just talked about. Her die from top to bottom is 1 focus, 2 focus, 1 discard, 1 resource, special, blank. And her special says, turn a die to a side showing a blank and discard a random card from an opponent's hand. So, looking at her, we kind of have this cheap support character, 9 points and 12 points. But looking at her die and her ability, she's either going to focus you or give you $1, or she's going to be disrupting the hand and dice of your opponent. So I think she's pretty cool. I just don't really know if we have an obvious partner or 2 wide or 3 wide pairing for her to go in with yet.
They released her with Palpatine, and I think
Oh, yeah.
kind of the direction they were pushing people towards was, hey, run her with Palpatine, the new unlimited power Palpatine.
Right.
But they were saying like, hey, run her with this, and then because her ability with the whole turning a Sith thing, it kind of goes hand in hand. But obviously Palpatine's got other partners like Watt or Watto, whoever you're going to pair him with.
Just need the money.
Yeah, her dice are so good. Like I feel like there's got to be. It kind of like makes me believe that she's geared towards like a mill deck. And when I talk about my character in a second here, we're going to kind of get into villain mill. We haven't really seen a villain mill deck since like Awakenings block, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that they're probably maybe 1 card short or 2 cards short of having a viable chance at the meta.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think Sly Moore, when that does happen, she kind of plays like the Yoda role in 3 wide mill.
Yeah, like you were saying, her die and her ability is great. Like either you're going to be focusing up, or the special is soft die control, turn in something to a blank, and then obviously discard is always good, so can't really complain about that.
Yeah, it's like the force jump special.
Yeah, pretty much, and take a card.
Yep,
pretty sweet.
which is pretty good in mill. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned the Palpatine, because now that I'm looking at the card, they have Palpatine's little shadow is in the background there, because her subtitle is Aid to the Emperor. So I guess from a lore perspective, that's where she fits in. I don't really know exactly where she popped up at.
Yeah, I just looked it up. She's in the Galactic Senate, and she's in the scenes with Palpatine in the Galactic Senate. And the picture I'm looking at is her next to Emperor Palpatine, and that dude with like the blue skin and those like, I don't know, he's got like a red robe kind of thing. I have no idea who this. Oh, sorry, Mas Amida.
Oh, Mas
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that actually. So
Wow.
learn new things every day. And hey, fun fact, her species is the Umbaran species. So her people.
Oh, I heard they're really good at like producing hover tanks.
I think they are. I think you're right on there, Ryan.
Just Ewok slayers.
That's right. So yeah, Sly Moore. That was my choice.
I do like Sly. I do like Sly a lot.
Yeah, when I was looking at Sly, I was kind of just going down the characters, and I saw Dooku is 18 points. The big Dooku from Way of the Force, I think, or Across the Galaxy, whatever that is. He's also a Sith, but beyond that, I didn't really see a ton of like obvious partners for her.
Yeah, because everybody else is way more expensive, like Vader and Maul.
Yeah, right.
All right, moving on. Jim, what is your character that you think is better than he or she is being given credit for right now?
So along the lines of Sly Moore being cheap and having good die sides on the villain side, I chose Lor San Tekka for 10 health, a 9/11 cost. His die side reads 1 focus, 2 focus, 1 discard, 1 shield, and 1 resource with a power action to choose 3 cards from your discard pile. Then an opponent adds one of those cards to your hand, set the other 2 cards aside. So kind of like how Chris said, Sly Moore is very flexible and you're getting a good die for a cheap cost. I like putting Lor San Tekka in 3 wide decks. I use him in a lot of my vehicles. I used to use him in a Fat Falcon deck. I now use him in a small hero vehicle package. He could be put into a hero mill. So when you have focus sides and you come with 10 health and you're only 11 points, that's going to put you in mill decks and vehicle decks because you're not doing damage, you're just supporting the cards around you, or you're working towards lasting longer since you have 10 health. And I think he's very flexible. I use him a lot. I think he's good. I don't know if you can pair him with like a big big. He is 11 points. I've never tried to pair him with like a big to see if he could support like a Obi-Wan or a Qui-Gon or maybe the new Yoda or something. I've never tried that. I don't know if it would be good being mono blue, but the 10 health and the focus make him outstanding. He is a true believer and a genuine scavenger. So that's all I got to say about that.
He's a true believer. The three-eyed raven is a true believer.
Yeah, he basically is the three-eyed raven. Without the Jedi, there can be no balance in the Force. Was in the movie for 10 seconds.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, Jim, 9 and 11 for 10 health is probably the best rate we can find.
It's way above curve.
And then, like you said, Jim, the similar die to Slimore with the focus and the discard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can pair him with a big, just because I think as a support character, he doesn't do enough to like make you money. Like Yoda, for instance, the Legacy's Yoda, like he makes you money, he shields you up, he can mill. So he was good with like a 2-character deck. But I think Lor San Tekka is the perfect 3-wide candidate. Like he's just so good at being in a 3-wide deck that I don't think you want to put him anywhere else.
Yeah, there is a really good feeling when you've used one easy pickings, an outgun, and like a hidden motive, and you hand those to your opponent and go, give me one of these back. And so like I really like that he gets cards back from your discard pile, and a lot of the time you see Lor San with Satine because she's also cheap, and everybody goes after Satine first to turn off your spot yellow, and she's a money generator, and Lor San has closed out a lot of games for me by being able to last to the end.
Yeah, that power action over the course of a game is so much value.
Well, and you put the pressure on your opponent too to make the right decision on what card they give you back. Because if they make the wrong call, I mean, that could be the game right there.
Yeah, very true.
And that 2 focus, I mean, if you can find a 2 focus late game, like focus is always good, and especially 2 focus. But if you can get like if you're running vehicles with him and you just can wait until they like target down Satine or they target down, I've seen you run him with Bail Organa and they're targeting down Bail because they're afraid of the Admiral play. Lore just sits there and is just like, well, I'm just going to focus all this up and you're just going to take a bazillion damage. He's really strong. I like him a lot.
Good pick, Jim. Good pick.
Thank you.
So the character that I chose is a character that I was interested in right away when he was first spoiled, and that is Conan Modi or Madi. I don't know if he's Italian or not. And Conan is 912. He's got 9 health. He has a 2 focus, a 1 discard, a 2 discard for a resource, a shield, and a resource. And his action is, after you resolve this die, showing a discard, you may discard a card from your hand to remove a die. So similar to what Sly Moore was doing, where her ability is kind of, you get 2 things. You get some soft control and something else. That's kind of what Conan does as well. He discards a card from your opponent's hand, and then at the same time, if you just get rid of a card from your hand, you can remove a die. And it doesn't have to show damage. It's just, boom, get rid of a die. So
yeah.
I think he's one of those characters that is really overlooked right now. And in a similar vein to Sly Moore, I think that he's going to fit really well in a villain mill deck. He's kind of like Wolf Yularen, where his dice kind of seem really good. Wolf's action or power action is a little bit better than Conan's, but Conan's way cheaper. So I think he's a very good alternative to Wolf. But yeah, I don't understand. I know Villain Mill has been down. They're probably maybe 1 or 2 cards short, like I said before. And I think as soon as we see those cards kind of emerge for the villain side, I think Conan is going to see an uptick in like deck representation and all that. I think he's really good. He's really cheap. And I think his ability and dice are going to play. We kind of talked about Krennic when Krennic was spoiled 2 podcasts ago, maybe 2 podcasts ago. His dice are the same. He's just missing. Krennic has an extra resource. Yeah, instead of the shield, and he doesn't have a pay side, but they have the exact same die line, like the 2 focus, the discard, and stuff like that. And Krennic, I feel like, is we talked about it. I think Krennic is going to see a ton of play.
Krennic is 13, right? 10, 13?
I think he's 10, 13, so he's 1 point more expensive than Conan.
I mean, but with them making Mahdi and Krennic, they're clearly trying to give a little bit of a bump to the villain mill. You know, they're trying to give you some options at least. They're not forgetting about it.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is a character that, like, when they were designing the game, I think this is kind of the type of character that they wanted Mill to kind of be. Instead of like last year where they didn't really see a 3-wide Mill deck coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is kind of a basically he's a control. He's not oppressive, but he's annoying. And I think that's what Mill in this game should be. It should be a win condition always, but it shouldn't be so easy to get to. And I think that's what like Madi does is he's a very good control character. And I think he's going to be really good if he gets maybe one more card of support in the next set or two.
I would agree. And going back to Lorsan, how Lorsan, he has the subtype Scavenger, and then his power action is working through the discard pile. So far, we've seen they have given a few characters that Scavenger subtype. So, maybe in the future, if they add in something to, synergize more with the discard pile, then if you use Madi's thing, his ability to discard a card from your hand to remove a die, then maybe you're not going to be losing full value on that card, maybe come next year or whatever, if they are using this. They got to be putting that Scavenger on there for a reason.
I think Jawas are scavengers too. I might be wrong on that. Should probably look that up.
Yeah. No, I think you might be right. That actually makes sense. I was going to say, what has Lore Santeca? We must be missing like the Lore Santeca comic series that must have dropped. What did he do to make him a scavenger? What does he do? He just lives on
He's a lore hunter.
Yeah, he just lives on some rundown planet in like one of those like renewable energy homes, and then that makes him a scavenger.
For sure. But yeah, I'm just trying to think like, top of my head, I don't really know how many there are, but there has to be a decent amount of them that are scavengers. So, if you search, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 cards that are scavengers that are legal and standard right now. So, that's a decent amount. Lorsan, Maul, Watto.
Maul's a scavenger?
The old one, the crappy one. Enfys Nest, Marauder. Ezra, the new Ezra is a scavenger. Wicked is a scavenger, so look out.
Whoa.
Wicked's gonna break the meta.
Yeah.
He got left behind on the Ewok deck. He's like mad.
Oh, because he gets to take the trap from his discard pile back into your hand. Or play it Yeah.
Repurpose all the nets and stuff. But yeah, Conan is a leader. And that's like, I feel like there's the most support for leaders other than scoundrels. There's a lot of cards that synergize with him as well. So you don't have to pair him with another leader to get all those cards. So I don't know. We'll see. I like Conan a lot. I think he's going to probably see an uptick if he gets another card or two, but we'll see.
Yep.
All right, moving on. So we've taken the characters. Let's now go into upgrades or supports. It seems a couple of us have chosen supports. Chris, you chose an upgrade. So why don't we start off with Jim this time? Jim, let's talk about an upgrade or a support that you think people aren't taking seriously right now that you actually really like.
So this is the second time that George was getting brought up. And if you're listening, George, you've influenced my game strongly. So we brought him up earlier and we said that he kind of cooks from the crock pot. And I told him last time I saw him at the store, I said, George, man, you're a gangster. And I remember somebody didn't speak Welsh and they were like, is that good or bad? I was like, no, that's real good. It means he's cool.
It means he's cool.
Speaking Welsh, I like that.
Yeah, so I told him he was a gangster and he was like, oh, thanks, man. But anyways, George had used an A-Wing in a really interesting way, and it kind of put me onto the idea of getting the A-Wing out, it's 2 costs, so it's cheap, and then loading it up with mods. Even if it's just a dorsal turret or 1 triple laser turret, being able to roll in and then discard to resolve any of its support or upgrade dice, which I don't think I knew off the top of my head. I thought it was just its die, but being able to roll in and resolve for like a kill is pretty strong. So I like the A-Wing. I don't think it's getting a lot of love in a lot of these vehicle decks. It's very sneaky and can come in at a clutch moment to either win you a game or take down a character, and there's nothing they can do about it because the innate discard to resolve trigger. So like the A-Wing for any hero vehicle deck.
And it's got a 3 range. I mean, it's definitely not a joke. I mean, like when you say you can roll in and sneaky kill somebody without them being able to respond, it's like live a lot. A 33% damage side. They can't really respond to it. They can't do anything about it. I agree with you. I think it's one of those cards where it's like people are focused on other 2-cost vehicles like the Resistance Crate or other things like that. I think the A-Wing is really sneaky.
Yeah, it's a sneaky sneak, and if you're going up against somebody who is playing yellow villain, then you are cool with putting like a dorsal turret on it, but you don't put up your nice mods on it. But if you're going against a non-yellow villain and you're not scared of desperate measures, if you were able to put a triple laser turret on that, you got a potential to do a lot of damage sneaking every time.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the flavor text says it's superb for hit and run missions.
There you go. In and out, baby.
That's how I operate.
Speaking Welsh,
Same,
that's
yeah.
the Welsh that's the Welsh motto.
Yeah.
We got to get a Welsh translator on here.
Yeah, so good pick, Jim. Good pick, A-Wing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, Ryan, what do you got?
I have a card that I was extremely excited about when it got spoiled, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is good!" And then nobody else cared. Everyone was like, "What are you talking about? Why are you excited about this card? It's the worst legendary of the set." And that is Canto Bite Security. It is a 2-cost, 1 range, 2 range, 2 range for $1, a discard and a resource blank. And the ability is after this card is discarded from your hand by an opponent's effect, you may play it for free. So for 2 cost, it does not have bad sides. 50% damage, always good. One of them is a pay side, unfortunately, but not the end of days. It's not the worst thing. But I think this is a card that everyone thought was just anti-mill tech. So if we see an uptick in mill representation again at tournaments or whatever, I think this card is going to be an auto include for any yellow deck, just because the ability to play it for free is just, it can't be overstated. But I was thinking about it. How often at the end of a round is somebody showing a discard? You've already pitched a reroll a couple times, and your opponent's just like, well, yeah, I'll resolve this discard to kill your last card or something to prevent more rerolls. And then bam, you just get this card for free if they do that.
Yeah.
It's got a ton more utility than people are giving it credit for. And I think it can go into more decks than we're currently seeing right now. For a 2 cost and a potentially free die that's on the table, I mean, I don't mind paying for it, but just the potential to put it down for free just seems like it should be in every deck. What do you guys think?
It's definitely conditional, but obviously it's in a condition that could definitely happen, like you were saying, Ryan. I mean, at the end of the round, if someone has a discard and they are normally upset by it, like, oh, I guess I'll discard you. Bam, surprise, you caught him off guard. You're rolling in Canto Bite Security. So Paul Blart Mall Cop caught him.
Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Jim, what do you got? What do you think about Canto Bite?
I was gonna say the 1 range, 2 range, 2 for 1. The 2 for 1 feels bad, but essentially, even with this, the 2 ranges, like, yes, one of them's a pay side, but it's cheap. This is a subtype we haven't really seen. Guard. So support guard is interesting. I wonder if there'll be more synergy later on with these future sets if they make cards surrounding guards. But I agree. I think for $2, there's a lot worse that you can put out there, and it comes with some flexibility. So good choice.
Oh, thank you, sir. Yeah, I like even at worst, if you're averaging maybe 1 mitigation card, 1 upgrade a round. So let's say you have 3 cards in your hand. At worst, you're gonna have a 33% chance if somebody discards this to play for free, like resolves a discard to play for free. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna take that chance every time.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe like just trying to think about it differently. Maybe you play it in your deck as like, it's just going to be most of the time a discard to reroll. Like if I want to play it, I can. But like you said, Ryan, in those opportunities where you can get it for free, I mean, that's a blowout.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on here, Bob, what upgrade or support do you think is better than it's being led on?
So I had a tough time kind of finding a good card for this, but I ultimately decided on Sniper Team. So I used to play a lot of Phasma back in Convergence set, and obviously you want to put as many trooper dice in the pool as you can with the advanced training plot that you can always spike their blanks as a indirect damage, and if you have Phasma, it's a melee damage. So Sniper Team is a 2-cost support trooper. It's got a 1 range, 2 range, 3 for 1 range, and a 4 for 2 range, and then 2 blank sides. And its power action is pretty cool. You can discard a card from your hand to turn this dice to a side that has a value 1 higher than the value showing on that dice. Of note, you cannot turn a blank into a 1. Learn that the hard way at the local game store.
What's the reasoning on that?
I don't know the reasoning behind that. Someone corrected me, and we went to the judge, and the judge said you cannot do that. So
who corrected you?
I cannot recall at this time. I can't remember, but I used to do it when we played Jim.
Yeah.
Obviously, with Phasma, you don't necessarily need to do that because the blanks with advanced training are still melee. But if you're not playing with Phasma, or if Phasma dies for whatever reason, you could still do that. So I guess, I don't know, if you're listening to this and you are an official judge and you can weigh in on that, that'd be fantastic. But like I said, I think it's awesome. I mean, this is pumping out damage. Ideally, you'd like to play with the advanced training plot to help if you're seeing the blanks, you're not upset with that. The only side that's kind of a buzzkill is the 4 for 2. But hey, with Pulverize, that could be a 5 for 2. So just keep that in mind, boys and girls.
Yeah, if you have enough money.
Well, that's a 5 for 4. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm just, well, I mean, you're spiking your other dice too, but
That is the worst the worst transaction in Destiny. A 5 for 4. Jesus.
Yeah.
I feel like that ruling is something that I want to look up I mean, we're going to sound either really smart or really dumb if we discuss it.
I mean, hey, it makes sense to me, but like I said, someone corrected me.
Yeah, the blank doesn't show a value. Maybe it's just like it's not a 0, it's just a blank. So that therefore it can't show value. But then you get cards like Upper Hand or something like that where you can resolve or remove a 0 and it's like, oh, specials and blanks count as 0.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
You're correct.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's interesting discussion. Something that we got
Something to look into.
for sure. I agree with that. So does anybody else have any comments about Sniper Team before we go here?
No, I think
Send it.
Yeah.
Nice. Send it. Chris, what is an upgrade or support?
So since you three dummies all picked supports, I thought maybe I would pick an upgrade. So I went with Convergence card number 104, which is Moxie. Moxie is a yellow hero upgrade. It costs $2 to play. It's an upgrade ability. The die sides are Focus, Shield, Dollar, Special, Special, Blank. And the special is the highlight of this card. The special is use a special ability or a power action on attached character, even if it was used this round. So, this card with the special copying specials or power actions, clearly you need to have a character where you want to try to abuse the special or abuse the power action. But, considering how good specials and power actions are on characters, I'm just kind of surprised that this card hasn't seen a lot of play. I mean, obviously it's yellow, so it doesn't go into a ton of decks, but just thinking back to past decks, Yoda with Leia Boosh, giving that deck Neemon Mastery and this card, I'm just kind of surprised that deck hasn't popped up at all.
Whoa, Chris, that sounds...
But that's just the one on the top of my head.
That sounds intriguing.
Yeah, right? I mean, that deck was good before Moxie or Neemon Mastery existed, so...
Yeah.
You
should build that.
I don't really know any other decks it goes in off the top of my head, but I just think it's a cool card, and, everyone likes copying specials, so... And it has 2 specials on it.
It's like Cunning.
Yeah, right. Cunning,
it's like the new era Cunning, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I like Moxie for sure, and I think Yoda Boosh is definitely it could be a viable deck. It was pretty good at the last meta. We ran into a couple of them during the regional. I played 2.
That was December.
Yeah, it was December, yeah.
One. Chicago,
yep.
Right?
And I think I played, I had a bye first round because I hit the lottery, and then I think my very first game, so technically round 2, was Yoda Leia.
Uh-huh.
And it's definitely a good deck. I think the problem it had was people just started ramping way too fast, and they didn't really, the Boosh special wasn't always live. I think there's a potential for it to come back now. I think there's a lot of villain cards out there that can be splashed around, that can be like bounty board or something like that just stay out there, and her special is...
Yeah. Thinking about the rotation, because that deck had Salvage Stand in it, right? So when that went away, maybe that kind of took away from that deck a little bit.
Yeah, it had like Salvage Stand, it had like Backup Muscle, it had other things, but now I think, like I said, like bounty board doesn't hurt. You can put in 0
or any 0 cost bounty.
Exactly.
Whatever.
0 cost bounty does the same purpose. So yeah, I definitely think that deck can come back, and I think Moxie is an auto 2 of in that deck
for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Moxie, my choice. Moxie.
Got Moxie, kid. Got Moxie.
Good pick, Chris.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate that.
So Bob or Chris, why don't we stick with you? We're going to move on to the events right now. Events from the last 2 sets that you think are being completely overlooked that people aren't really putting into decks right now.
Sure. So coincidentally, I'm sticking with Yellow Hero. This is Spark of Hope card 103. Jump to Lightspeed. 3 cost event. It says spot vehicle support to end the action phase. Then set this event aside. So I was just kind of scanning through all the events, and there hasn't really been this style of deck, a la Han, Biggs, Armored Reinforcement, then Jump Out. That deck hasn't really been relevant the past set or 2. So, this card got a lot of hype when it was first spoiled. People were really excited. Oh, new hyperspace jump to Lightspeed, but I think Desperate Measures is kind of keeping people away from these style of decks, going all in on one sort of vehicle and Biggsing in and action cheating and getting out. But the existence of this card, I'm going to be really, really surprised if this does not see play at some point between now and the next year or 2.
I like it.
With action cheats kind of coming back into the meta, I would be surprised if this stays shelved for too long. We're seeing now that they kind of fixed the ambush and action cheating to kind of make it a little bit more more fair with cards like Instigate. Instead of hit and run, you're paying 1 instead of just getting it for free. And I think that if we ever do see like another YOLO deck like Jim ran, the Han Biggs, I think this card is definitely going to come back. And it's definitely more fair. It's not as busted as Hyperspace Jump was, where you could just do it. There was no spot requirement. It was just like in the action phase, and your opponent just was like pissed off because now their entire team. I mean, that was going into mill decks in order to win games. So I think this is a little bit more fair. But if you're going to run a YOLO style deck like Han Biggs, you're going to have vehicles out anyway. So I don't think that requirement is too restrictive. But I do really like this card. I definitely see it being a force if we can get another. I think Han Biggs is always going to be good. It's always going to be. It's always going to be a card or a deck that is available to be played for the people that don't like or prefer not to do the chess match of, hey, let me focus, let me do this. It's kind of just like, I mean, Jim, you're the biggest, like the Han Biggs king. You ran at the regional and you were the only person non-Thrawn Snoke to top 8 it.
Yeah, Jim just plowed through Swiss, man. He beat me in the last round of Swiss with it like a jerk.
Yeah, and it's just, hey, let me get this Falcon out. Let me activate everything.
I'll say that there's definitely a cause for bringing it back. It just stinks that something exists where it's an auto loss. But I guess that's sometimes the nature of the beast, right? Like,
so you're referring to Desperate Measures?
Yeah. So like, I think that especially with Jump to Lightspeed being in the game now, so maybe you can avoid it. And in that Han Biggs deck really pushed in a lot of damage at the time when it came out, and it caught a lot of people off guard. So it might be worth bringing back. I agree. Pretty cool.
Bring in scruffy looking Nerf herder and call out event, and you might get lucky.
That's what you have to do.
I think it's missing just like a shield generator. Like if a card came out like shield generator again, I think Han Biggs is going to be like a force.
Oh,
like,
right.
All they're doing is missing that little added protection. But we've had this conversation how many times? I don't know is Desperate Measures being run as much as we think it is.
Right.
If it's like a meta call, like that's what Han Biggs is. It's like a meta call. Like you're bringing it to a tournament hoping that no one's really on Desperate Measures. And I think if we're going to look at just Gen Con as kind of our viewpoint of major tournaments, Desperate Measures wasn't that well represented, and it's not going to be going forward because no one was playing big vehicles. So I think now's as good a time as any to play a deck, not necessarily Han Biggs, but play a deck that has kind of a action cheaty vehicle jump to lightspeed vibe like Han Biggs.
Yeah, definitely. Totally agree. But that's my pick. Jump to Lightspeed. So I probably stole that one from Jim, funny enough, but
we're all a team.
Yeah, he's really upset about it.
So Bob, what was your pick for event card?
So just in the theme of Desperate Measures, obviously heroes are having a difficult time getting rid of supports. We do have Vandalize. There is Convergence as well if you can spot a certain number of characters that have the same subtype. But another card that I found is Hull Breach. It's a 1 resource event that says remove 1 of your dice showing damage to either discard a support from play that costs equal to or less than the value showing on the removed dice, or deal that much indirect to an opponent, and it's a neutral card. So going back to what we were literally just talking about, I didn't want to spoil my card, but in regards to getting rid of supports, I think we might see a big play of events that can get rid of supports, especially with the Ewoks doing so well and them having the plot to put out a vehicle to then jump to, Arena of Death. I think, even if you can get rid of a 2-cost support like the Pod Racer or the 1-cost Pod Racer or the Crate Speeder, this doesn't hurt you that much by removing a dice showing 2 damage, especially if it's 2 indirect and you don't know where it's going to go. You can potentially get rid of a decent support for the opponent. And I think, yes, that we're not seeing as many big fat supports of like loaded up Falcon and the loaded up Fire Spray, but the resurgence of small vehicle decks like Jim was talking about earlier is a real thing. And I think that if you can remove as many of these small supports as you can, I think that's a good scenario. So that's why I think Hull Breach is going to maybe see a little bit of a comeback, or we'll see some play because of these small supports that are being played.
Yeah, totally. I think just when you have not even like actual 2-cost vehicles, but like supports like Suppressive Fire or something like that, or a Stifle or something that you just need to get rid of in order to like kind of get rid of or kind of clear the path for yourself. I think, Hull Breach definitely has some utility there as well.
Yeah, I like it, Bob.
The event that I picked was Spoiled Last Set. So it's a Convergence block event. We're home, and that says it's a 1-cost event. It's nice flavor text or nice little picture on it. And activate 1 of your yellow vehicles and up to 2 of your scoundrels. And then you can remove 1 of your dice showing a resource to ready that vehicle. I think this card has the potential to be just bananas broken. And I'm really surprised. And this goes to when this card was spoiled, or this set, it kind of came out with Entourage. And so everyone went to Entourage, and Entourage is not a vehicle, it's a support. So this card doesn't go well, or it just doesn't work in those decks. If we do see yellow vehicles come back, which I think could, we've already seen like a Falcon Droids deck do well. If we see a shift back towards yellow vehicles instead of yellow supports, or maybe just a hybrid deck, I think this card could be very, very good. Being able to activate all of your characters, getting every die that you have in the or in the pool, and then with the potential of just removing a resource die to ready that vehicle again, I think that's really good. If it for whatever reason, if it happens with the Shadowcaster, broken. If you're readying the Shadowcaster and you can potentially do 12 damage to a character or your opponent, it's busted. I mean, I don't understand why this card. I mean, I understand it, but I just think that this card should be getting a little bit more attention, and people are kind of sleeping on it and forgetting about it. And I just think it has the potential to come back in a very big way.
I would agree. When you put it that way, Ryan, and kind of list off the highest, the high ceiling potential on this, it is pretty absurd what is possible with this card. Whether you're readying the Shadowcaster, or maybe you're in a deck with the Big Falcon, I mean, all you need is one round of this, and you're probably going to win.
Exactly. And if you can combine it with the action sheet, kind of continue our theme, if you can combine it with like an action sheet card, it's even better, because now you get everything in and you have a potential ready. So you could re-ready the Falcon or whatever big vehicle we're talking about, and you get to resolve at the same time. I just think it has the potential to be one of like a key combo piece in a lot of these decks. And I think it should be given more attention.
Well, moving forward to covert missions, with this piloting theme, maybe this card, they've only shown Luke so far, but we do know that Poe is on the box. So maybe if there's some vehicles that really benefit from being piloted, and you can do this with a piloted vehicle, maybe that's something to keep in mind. I mean, it has to be a yellow vehicle, which is kind of a problem, but
that's the only restriction. Yeah.
We'll see what they give us, I guess.
That's the big restriction. All right, moving on. Jim, what do we got?
I picked Upper Hand. It's a blue hero card from the Obi-Wan starter set. And what it does is, my strong hand, son. Take my strong hand. Upper Hand says if you have a die showing a value of 2 or more, remove a die showing a value of 0, and it's a 0 cost event. More likely than not, you're going to roll in something that has a 2 on it. And specials and blanks count as zeros, and there's a lot of specials floating around these days. And sometimes it's nice to just get a blank off the board if it's a really threatening dice. So
yeah, no doubt.
I don't think Upper Hand sees a lot of play because it is restricted to the you must have a die showing a value of 2 or more. But for 0 cost removal, it's not that bad. I think it definitely can see some action. And so I've been putting it in some of my blue decks, experimenting with it. And more often than not, I'm getting to use it, and I'm not having it just sit in my hand as a dead card. So I really like Upper Hand. Any thoughts from anybody else?
I love this card. I think I played it against you, Jim, a couple times when the Obi-Wan set came out, and you were like, why are you playing that card?
Mm-hmm.
But I think you've seen the light, and especially with Qui-Gon. I mean, if he's fully shielded, does he have any sides that are less than 2 besides his blank?
No.
A blank.
No, yeah, just his blank.
A blank, yeah.
Bob, how many times on average does somebody ask, why are you playing this card?
More often than not. But hey,
I feel like every game that I play against you, or every game that I watch you play against, that question comes up like, why is this in your deck? Why
it's either why or what is that?
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, Bob's the only person I've ever played against in the last 2 years that I have to actually pick up the card off the table. And I'm like, what the hell is this?
I guess my mind works a little differently than other people, but sometimes it works out.
Yeah. Every once in a while, Bob births a good card, and Upper Hand is definitely one of those cards that I think can see more action in some blue hero decks.
Yeah. I mean, for blue hero, for a 0 rate, the restriction isn't the worst for a 0 cost removal.
No, it's not.
I mean, like we talked about last episode, they don't have a ton of these cheap options, so you kind of got to take what you can get.
I mean, every die nowadays has how many 2 costs? Like that restriction is not, it's not as, unless you're rolling double blanks every time, that restriction is not that bad.
No, and chances are they're going to have either a blank or a special. So sometimes, yeah, in the wrong matchup, if you're playing against a deck that doesn't have specials and you're not going against someone that has special sides, it's decreasing your odds to only hitting on blanks. But that still happens. So
It's still good. It's
Yeah,
still good.
I'm not upset
Yeah.
if I remove a Maul blank. I mean, that's still really
yeah,
good.
exactly. Yeah, something like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
How many games do you play? Think about it. Where even just for percentage purposes, how many games have you ever played where the entire time neither you nor your opponent rolls a blank?
Yeah, it's not
Mhm.
doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's always good. Alrighty, so that is kind of our summary of characters, upgrades, and supports, and events that we think should at least be played or people are sleeping on. And like I said before, if you guys have built a deck that includes these characters, these supports, please let us know if you've had success with them, or maybe you just think Conan Modi is just complete trash and you're going to try to warn us against running him. But yeah, let us know in the comment section or contact us. Just feel free to give us some ideas that what we can do with some of these cards. Kind of continuing with our theme to have a fun game show segment to close out the show. We did it last week. We're going to kind of continue this. I will now turn it over to game show host Mr. Welsh, and he's got a little bit of an activity before we get out of here.
Alrighty, so I will say this. What I'm going to do for the game, same as last time, I'm going to read a card. You're going to say your name to buzz in, and you're going to tell me the color of that card. And then I was thinking maybe if you get the card right, I'll offer you the chance for a bonus point if you can tell me is it neutral, hero, or villain. So I have
Bonus points,
yeah,
fellas.
so I have
Love it.
a set of cards in my hand. It should go quick, so maybe we can get through about like 10 of them because I should be able to do this
my
pretty
God.
quick.
Okay.
No, it should be fast. So I tried
Well,
to pick. We struggled last time.
Well, some of us struggled.
we need redemption after Bob just slaughtered us last
Yeah,
game.
that's
The
true.
quote game.
The thing is,
Yeah.
Jim's going to pick obscure cards that Bob is like
This-
builds
yeah,
his
he's
career
gonna-
off
so
of.
true. So what?
Bob's like, oh, that's Convergence number 97. I run that in every one of my decks.
So what I did to fit the theme was I picked a bunch of cards that don't see much play. So
Of course.
So
Okay.
here we go.
Nice.
Starting with the first
All right.
option. The name of this card. I'll even give you the number. That's fine. That's fair. This is Way of the Force 120. Name of the card.
Oh, I know it.
Change of Fate.
Chris,
Chris, go ahead.
I think it's blue.
It is not blue.
Oh,
Ryan,
Ryan, go ahead.
it's yellow.
It is not yellow, and therefore,
Bob.
no, this is
no.
not how
Is
this
it
is
red?
going to work. This is not how this is going to work. If two people strike out, I'll just read the answer and no points out.
I'm
So
just a
change of
scavenger getting all the scraps.
yeah.
These games kill all of our credibility. Like if somebody were to skip to the end of these podcasts and listen to like we just fumble over this crap, they're gonna be like, have these guys ever played the game before?
Okay.
These guys are idiots.
This is probably the reason
Yeah.
why you've never heard of this card. It is a 0-cost red neutral card that says, choose any number of dice. Force an opponent to turn each of those dice to sides of their choice. Red, neutral. Okay.
Jeez.
Okay. All right.
No points allowed.
All right.
Next card. Ready.
0, 0, 0. All right.
This is Way of the Force 114. Name of the card, Turn the Tide.
Ryan,
Chris,
Ryan, go ahead.
yellow.
Not yellow. Chris, go ahead.
it's gonna be blue.
It is blue.
Whoa.
Very nice.
Whoa.
Okay. And now for
We're on
your
the board,
bonus
boys.
point, do you know if it
Oh,
is
do I automatically
hero?
get to have first chance at the bonus?
Yeah, you got
first,
it right.
First
Oh,
chance
okay.
at the
All right.
bonus. Is it hero,
Okay.
neutral, or villain?
Turn the tide, hero.
That sounds hero.
It is neutral.
I was gonna say
only
neutral.
Chris.
Oh.
Only Chris gets the chance at the bonus because he got it right.
Bob.
All right, Turn the Tide is a 2-cost neutral blue that says move all shields from an opponent's character to one of your characters.
Ooh.
It's like moving rocks before it was good.
All right, so I got 1 point.
So it's Chris 1, Ryan 0, Bob 0. Here we go.
We're on
This
the board.
is
All right.
Way of the. A lot of these are Way of the Force. Wow. Way of the Force card 93. This is a 3-cost card. Name of the card, Closing the Deal.
Ryan,
Bob.
Ryan, go ahead.
that's yellow. I know it.
It is yellow. Do you know what
ding, ding, ding.
faction?
It's got that little short fat guy on it. I actually think I know what this card does. It is yellow villain.
It's Hero.
It is Yellow Hero.
Yo, hero.
Oh,
Yellow Hero, and what it does is it says gain 5 resources.
Yeah, and then you have to pass
You
the rest of your
must pass
turns.
the rest of your turns, yes.
Ryan,
So
the art you're thinking of, I think, is a different card with that little guy on it.
it doesn't have the short fat guy on it. You're thinking of like First
Vizago's buddy.
or something. Yeah, First Claim or something like that. But
That's right. That's
yeah.
what I thought it was, but I knew what it did.
okay, next
So
card.
Ryan, you have 1 point.
Ryan's
Heck
got
yes.
1. All right. Next card. 1 cost, Across the Galaxy card number 126. Card name, Revised Order.
Ryan.
Bob.
Chris.
Ryan, I heard first. Ryan, go ahead.
Red villain.
It is red neutral, so
Neutral.
only 1 point allowed.
Ooh.
Only 1 point allowed. And Revised Order reads, turn a die to a side that has a value 1 higher than the value showing on it. If you control the battlefield, return this event to your hand.
Ooh, spicy.
Okay, next card.
I'm ahead, boys.
Ryan has 2, Chris 1, Bob 0. This card is Convergence card 110. 1 cost. Card name, Overqualified.
Chris.
Chris, go ahead.
Red villain.
It is not red.
Ryan.
Oh, I heard Ryan first. Ryan, go ahead.
It is a blue card.
All right, it is blue. What faction?
It is blue hero.
It is blue neutral. But
God, you and these neutrals.
so 1 cost, it says choose one of your dice and remove a die showing a value less than the
Yeah,
chosen die.
Ahsoka's on it.
Ahsoka is on the art. Good call.
I know what it looks like. These neutrals are killing me.
All right, so we
So
got
what's the
3,
score?
3 Ryan, 1 Chris, 0 Bob. The champion is
Big
struggling.
goose egg, Bob.
Yeah. Convergence card 150, 0 cost. Title, Unpredictable.
Ryan.
I heard Ryan first.
It's yellow villain.
It is yellow neutral, though.
Dude, these neutrals.
Oh,
So
it's hard. It's hard.
Unpredictable is a 0 cost. It reads ambush. Reroll a die.
Yours
0.
or your opponent's.
Yours or your opponent. So nice, very nice.
Oh, that's a reprint one, right?
It is a reprint, yeah.
Awakenings reprint. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Legacies card 160, 0 cost. Ice Storm.
Ryan.
Chris.
Ooh, I heard Ryan first.
Gray neutral.
Wow, 2 points. Gray and neutral.
Is that the one that has the tauntaun on it?
Yeah, it's got a
Tauntaun.
tauntaun.
Yes. And,
It's
and
remove a shield from every character.
remove 1
Yeah.
shield from each character. This is why this sees 0 play.
Hey, that's good against diplomatic protection, actually.
Oh
That's
wow,
true.
That's
That is
actually not bad.
true.
Metacall.
We just limped onto a meta call.
Tekken 3 of them, double down. Tekken 3.
Yeah, we just limped into a meta call.
Just ice storm those Ewoks. Jeez. All right, so basically,
This is a runaway, fellas.
down to
Yeah,
the final
yeah.
3 cards. Here we go.
All right.
You got to get
all
some
right. We gotta
double points.
My goal is to keep Bob shut out here at 0.
Oh, man,
so-
don't
Yeah,
be-
let's do it.
playing.
Let's do it.
Spark of Hope card 26, 2 cost. Crushing Advantage.
Ryan.
Bob.
I heard Ryan first.
Oh,
Red villain.
It is Red Villain for
Yeah.
2 points.
Man, this is a blowout here.
Crushing Advantage reads, if you have 1 or more character dice in your pool than an opponent has in their pool, remove 1 of that opponent's character dice. Repeat this for support dice and upgrade dice. Really interesting, really wordy card.
Who's on the art of that?
It's like
It's not Callus.
it's like a ship that's like firing at a bunch of people and there's like droids jumping off the ship. It's really interesting art. I don't know
Oh,
what
it's like
from.
it kind of looks like a Grievous type droid, right? They're
Yeah,
jumping
it
off
looks
or
like a
something.
Grievous. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd think it's like Grievousy. Yeah, it's weird. Definitely weird. Okay, here we go. Final 2.
Okay.
This is Spark of Hope card 144. 1 cost. Title of the card, Outpace.
Bob.
Bob, go
Oh,
ahead.
no.
I'm going to go yellow neutral.
It is yellow neutral.
Oh.
He's on the board.
I had to like yell into my mic to get that off. Jeez.
And now he's beating Chris.
Yeah, now he's
No.
beating Chris.
Oh,
It
okay.
is
Last question. I got to bear down.
it is
here.
yellow neutral, 1 cost. It's one of those cards that gives you an option of 3. It says spot a yellow character to choose 1. Reroll up to 3 dice. Force an opponent to lose 1 resource or remove a leader die.
Bob's finding it in his binder right now. Like, oh yeah. I forgot.
yeah.
I forgot
Oh,
about
yeah.
that card.
I should play that
That's
in my
going to go into
decks.
all my decks.
All right, Ryan is guaranteed the win, but this question is for second.
Give me the crown,
this is for
baby.
Second place.
This is the battle for
Battle
second
for
place.
second place. Here we
All
go.
right.
Wait, we should do like an all for nothing like last time.
No.
Well, that's how you won last time.
Ryan technically didn't win last
No.
time. You won, but Ryan got
All
the
right.
bragging rights for getting the last one. Anyways, here we go. For
All right,
second,
fair enough.
Ryan,
All right,
you
last
sit
one.
this one out because this is for second place. All right.
Got it.
Way of the Force card 99. 0 cost. Title, Righteous Cause.
Oh, I have no idea.
Bob,
Chris, you got to send
Bob,
it.
go ahead.
I'm going to go Blue Hero.
Incorrect. Chris, for second
Ah.
place. Can he get it?
Righteous cause. I'm gonna go yellow.
Yellow is correct.
Oh,
Yes.
So now you're tied. If you can
Wait, so
get the
this-
faction, you will get second place.
Man. Righteous cause. Just based off of the title, I'm gonna say hero.
It is correct.
Nicely done.
Yes.
Nicely done.
Uh,
I was going to say, fun fact, if you tell us the number, that actually kind of gives you an idea.
it gives it
of-
away, yeah.
So villains
Oh,
usually
yeah,
low.
yeah.
Villains
yeah.
low, heroes in the middle, and then neutrals
Red
high.
comes first.
Blue actually comes
point.
first. Blue comes first.
Good point. But
that's
were
right,
any of you
you're right.
thinking that fast?
Not really, no.
Yeah, I was.
If we were high, I knew it was. I knew mine was neutral because it was pretty high.
Oh.
Oh, the 144.
Yeah.
I figured it out, but yeah, I knew a lot of my stuff. I knew a lot of those cards. Way of the Force messed me up. I haven't read that set in a while.
Okay, so end of the game. Ryan had 8, Chris had
Wow.
3, Bob had 2. So good
Wow.
game, gentlemen.
Yeah,
Crown
thanks,
me,
Jim.
baby.
That
Good
was
job.
fun, man. That was fun, as
Mhm.
always.
All right. So as always, fellas, and everyone listening, thank you guys for listening to this week's episode of the Loth-Wolf Podcast. Like I said before, please comment and let us know if you guys have tested any of these cards. We'd love to hear you guys like either builds or stories or anything like that. If you can, take a look at our library of videos and let us know what you guys think. Shout out New Brainer. As for Chris, Jim, and Bob, this has been Ryan with the Loth-Wolf Podcast, and we are out.